The Views Expressed live, not a podcast. I am live. As you can tell, my throat is still messed up. I've got massive sinus infections at this point. Well, I'm over-exaggerating. But as you can tell, I'm still a little under the weather, but that's okay. I have a show to do. I want to apologize for everyone who wanted to tune in yesterday. I was not on because this thing kicked my butt. So, your thoughts and prayers in my direction are very much appreciated. Thank you. Today, for the 18th of October, 2012, I want to run down. I don't think I'm going to be long. I don't think I'm going to go to full 2 hours, but if I get up enough energy, I probably will. I don't know, so I'm not beholden to any advertisers or anything like that. So, it's my show, my network. I can do whatever I want. So anyway, you are listening to The Views Expressed. I am your host, Reverend Wayne S. Pierce, for the 18th of October, 2012. There's a lot of things tomorrow. We have the one and only, the ever so intelligent and well-informed Angel Clark from The Angel Clark Show over on radiofreedom.us, 5 to 7 Eastern on your local internet radio. Actually, you can hear her on libertyradionetwork.com or at her page at radiofreedom.us. There's been a lot of talk recently as to who won the debates. I got to tell you, as I said the other day, I heard them. Okay, I said in a podcast, I heard them, but I wasn't too impressed. To be totally honest with you. I mean, both sides were nitpicky and doing this and saying that. It was a real pain, to really judge who was telling the truth and who wasn't. But I saw some very, 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 very close-knit, biased views of Candy Crowley. Okay? Of course, she works for CNN and all that, and there was a press release, or actually a memo that came out from one of the news managers over there at CNN that said that, nobody there at CNN should criticize Candy Crowley for what she did. She did the right thing. No, she didn't. CNN, Communist News Network, is nothing more than a front company for the globalists. Much like now Fox, much like MSNBC, MSDNC, really. But there's so many things that we are not paying attention to. You got all this dog and pony show going on in front of your face. What's happening behind your back? This is what I'm telling you about. So I'm going to run down the information as far as I can, with as much as I can. I want to give a shout out to Mr. Michael Vera over there at LateNightInTheMidlands.com. Really informed. Go check him out. Go support him. He's also in the media, the alternative media as we like to call it. LateNightInTheMidlands.com. And that's Michael Vera. You can also find him on Facebook. So, after the break, I'm going to run down for the new listeners what this show is about, tell you where you can get a hold of me and all that. So, we shall return right after this.
Late Night in the Midlands is an alternative media that covers the truth, theory, and fact that the lamestream media won't talk about. We cover everything from the known and the unknown, the normal and the paranormal, the government lies and the government ties, and even their thrive. We tell what's coming, what's going, whether it be politics or archaeologists. We have an amazing fan base, and our shows are all archived to be heard millions of times more. So tell your friends, your family, and anybody you care about LateNightInTheMidlands.com. Become a member and be informed.
Come listen to Journey into Light with your host, Michael Long. This show is about looking into the afterlife. Where do our souls go from here? What are the true messages from above? Everybody is family, so make a journey into light with Michael Long, your home. With the best guests on the show, they share the love with all who call in and those who are in the chat room. That's Journey into Light with Michael Long, Sunday through Thursday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, on blogtalkradio.com/journey into the light. Eastland Sci-Fi Radio Theater is looking for you. Are you a voice actor looking to hone your abilities? Are you a writer looking for actors? Then Eastland Sci-Fi Radio Theater is for you. If you are a voice actor or a writer of sci-fi themed radio plays, send your information to Eastland Radio Films at USA.com. For more information, go to eastlandradiofilms.wix.com/eastlandfilms for more information. If you are a voice actor, send your audition clips to Eastland Radio Films at USA.com. This is the views expressed right here on the Liberty and Freedom Network, broadcasting live on Spreaker.com for the 18th of October, 2012. We are here live. This is not a podcast. We are here live. As you can tell by my voice, my sinuses are really acting up today. And want to give my apologies to those that tuned in yesterday to listen to me. It kicked my butt. Okay, I get sinus infections every year, and it gets so inflamed I can't breathe. I have to sit up at night to sleep. I mean, this kind of thing. It got really bad. It was not yesterday or the day before. I mean, I've had this for a few days, but I can tell you, it's not as bad as it was several years ago or even last year. It was kind of mild comparatively because sometimes I get it and I'm like gasping for air. So, I mean, it's really bad. But enough about my gross bodily things going on here. Go to Liberty and Freedom Network and follow along the bouncing globalist ball. No, not really. Let's go to Liberty and Freedom Network on Facebook. Thank you. There's a video up there. If anyone is for Romney, you better think twice. There's a video up there that says Romney admits he would have signed the National Defense Authorization Act if he was president. You will hear people booing. Nobody wants the NDAA ever. So just listen for yourself, judge for yourself. Make a comment to it, too. Oh, wow. The thing that I want to direct your attention to is a picture that says U.S. Department of Defense admits population control part of the U.S. quote-unquote stability operations. Okay? Want to point that out. If you see anything that says sustainable development, run like hell. Okay? Because that's part of it. Okay? Jurian Mason over at explosivereports.com put this up. Actually, I found it and I put it on Liberty and Freedom Network. So there is a link that you can click on. Let me read some of this to you, if my voice can handle it. The Defense Department official admitted yesterday that population control is an integral part of America's stability operations. James A. Scheer, Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Partnership, Strategy and Stability Operations, told an audience at the annual summit of the International Stability Operations Association a few days ago that population control is one of the core missions of the U.S. military in relation to stability operations. The DoD press release stated, quote, "Stability operations, which are usually military operations in civilian environments, include many missions, among them peace operations, combating terrorism, counter-drug operations, population control, and nation assistance," unquote. Scheer stated, quote, "While we're seeking to rebalance toward an Asian-Pacific region while maintaining our emphasis on the Middle East as we must, we're also viewing security cooperations as a way to sustain our defense commitments within Europe and partnerships across all regions." What about the United States there, Mr. Scheer? Continuing in his speech, Scheer stressed that working with the private sector, both in Europe and the U.S., is crucial in ensuring the stability. Operations such as population control are effectively implemented. Quote, "In regions where America's national interests are at stake, we must make the requisite investment now to help us forego the requirement for a larger, more expensive, and more intrusive operations later on." He also mentioned that international alliances were needed. Quote, "I would even go further and say not only the U.S. government, but our allies and partners will see increasing needs for private sector expertise and capabilities in areas such as improving governance." Catch that? Improving governance, monitoring tenuous situations, and providing an immediate response capability. You can read that article at Liberty and Freedom Network on Facebook. Agenda 21. That's what it is. You want to have a world alliance telling you specifically, where to live, why to live, what to eat, when to eat, what kind of car to drive, where to go to work. You want that type of world alliance because that's what's going to happen. And under UN Agenda 21, that's exactly what's going to happen. Sustainable development does not mean they're going to sustain you where you're at. They're telling you now that you must move into the city, that they want green jobs within the city so you don't have to drive anywhere, do anything, and just go, you can live in the building where you work. So there you go, I'm a big fan of Star Wars. Anybody see Star Wars, the episode number 3? Or even 1 through 3? See all those buildings on Coruscant? That's what they want. Everybody jam-packed in this little area. Okay? They don't want, somebody to have private homes. They don't want to have any citizen having a way to be educated. They don't want libraries. If they do, they want you to understand their view of it, their revisionist view of it. Oh, we already have that, don't we? The bottom line is this, folks. You're being played like a very well-tuned, cheap fiddle. That when a string breaks, all they got to do is throw it away. Okay? They don't give one rat's butt about you. All they care about is enslaving you to do their work. Okay? That's all. That's all. That's it. That's all. They don't give a crap about what you think, what you want, your rights, your liberties. The New World Order wants to crush any type of sovereignty in any country where any one person is getting out of line or thinking outside the globalist box or any patriot that comes back from Iraq or Afghanistan or any truck driver that has, patriot stickers on his truck or anybody for that nature, for that matter. The problem is, folks, is that there are people out there who are not awake and aware of this stuff going on. That's the problem. So there's shows like mine, there's shows like, and I don't even put myself in the caliber of where these people are, but there are shows like Alex Jones and Glenn Beck, shows like mine in with what I talk about on the internet. There's Michael Vera at Late Night in the Midlands. There's another perspective there. Peter Kling, who I had on a couple of Fridays ago, or last Friday actually. There's so many perspectives of what's going on. I'm going to tell you right now, folks, no one is right about any of it, but listen to this, no one's wrong either. It's your perspective. You're seeing it for what it is. You see the dog and pony show of the debates. You know damn well both of them are lying. Romney may have hit him with a couple of facts. Romney may have said something that was completely true, and Obama's like, no, trying to pass it off, and then he grabs the apron strings of the globalist news anchor, Candy Crowley, and says, "Hey, help me out here, Sandy or Candy," because he knew at that moment, oh my God, this guy's informed. He knows I'm lying. But then again, check this out, folks. Bain Capital, the company Romney used to work for, is funding Obama. Get that. Hello. And Candy Crowley was a wedding or some type of function where Obama went to, right? Talk about your conflict of interest. Don't vote for any of the parties. I got a sample ballot. The show doesn't even show Jill Stein on it. Doesn't show Roseanne Barr. Doesn't show any of those. Just has, Gary Johnson and, of course, all those. But just makes me want to throw it away. It's like I do not condone the illegal actions of Washington D.C. in my life. Put that on record. I do not condone the illegal actions of Washington, D.C. in my life. Period. You can download this show and put it up anywhere you want. Yes, there's a copyright on it. Yes, it's okay. I'm giving you permission to do whatever it is you want to do. If you want to twist my words, you stupid naysayers, you go right ahead. You want to try to analyze what I'm saying? The best thing for you to do is to get a hold of me, and I'll tell you exactly what I mean. Instead of you sitting there with your own preconceived limited ideas of what you think I mean. No. I'll tell you straight up what I mean. You don't like the truth, you don't like the facts, turn this show off, go create your own, and badmouth everybody like you always like to do. Stupid naysayers. Stupid debunkers. You don't know your ass from a hole in the ground. Yeah, I said it. No holds barred show here, folks. Straight up, no holds barred. That's what I got. I look at this situation that we're in right now. We're at a presidential election coming up in less than 2 weeks. And what do we have? What do we have? We have squat. There's no choices. It's already rigged. By the way, for those I talked about Romney just a second ago, May 31st, 2012 to June 3rd, 2012. Bilderberg meeting, Chantilly, Virginia. Guess who shows up? Four people that were there in protesting and all that saw Mitt Romney show up on that Thursday, May 31st, 2012, to the Bilderberg meeting. So you tell me how much of this you have a say in. How much of this representative republic do we have a say in? We don't have one iota of any say anywhere whatsoever in this government. Why? It's rigged, folks. It's rigged. And there's people on Spreaker that have where I broadcast my show that have shows that are bad mouthing Alex Jones or Glenn Beck because saying that Alex Jones is COINTELPRO and all this, that, and the other thing, and he's part of the Jesuits. And let me tell you, if you don't know anything about anything, don't say anything. It's that easy. I'll tell you straight up who I am. I'm nonpartisan. I don't care for any of the parties. I don't think we should have parties. Yes, you can put that on record too. We should not have parties. Then how are we going to get... We don't... No. You misunderstood. We should not have parties. We should have people. Forget the parties. Vote people. Okay? Period. End of sentence. Now, how is anybody going to, have any backing if they don't have like a Democratic or Republican Party? It's real simple. It's called the majority vote. Go look it up. Majority vote. Go look it up. Minimal 49-51. 51 votes wins. Boom. Minimal. Maximum 75-25. Well, what if somebody gets in that I didn't vote for? And I didn't vote for any of them? Well, it's always next time, huh? I always laugh at people that say if you didn't register to vote, you don't have any reason to complain. Yeah, you do. It's called the First Amendment. You have every reason to complain. Hey, over there in the Spreaker chat, I want to say hi to J.R. Wild. Yeah, there should be no parties whatsoever, period. End of sentence. We vote for people. It has only been in the last, I would say, 40 to 45 years that we've geared ourselves or believe the propaganda that we need to vote for parties. No. Get rid of the parties. Okay, let me throw a bone to those folks that say we need parties. Okay, if we need parties, how about this? Let's have all of the parties in the debates, including Democrat and Republican. Okay? The Independent American Party, the Green Party, the Libertarian Party, the whatever. Let's have them all there. Okay? Let's have them all. What will you get? You will get a better view of what you're going to get, the opinions of different people, different candidates. And it's going to be up to you to judge which one you want in office. Who's going to run this country better without some political globalist agenda backing them? Huh? It's going to be the people. You and I, we the people, we're the one. What did they do in Philadelphia at the start of this country? We the people of the United States of America. Did that not start out that way? To form a more perfect union, although they knew that, it wasn't perfect. Neither am I, folks. Neither are you. JR in the Spreaker chat says he's been saying the same thing for some time. I've been yelling this since Reagan was in office. By the way, Reagan got in office when I graduated high school. So, yeah, and I've been looking at all this stuff since I was in high school. I can tell you right now, it's all rigged. Oh, we don't want that. We don't want... No, we don't. It's all rigged, folks. You can't handle the truth? I don't know what to say. I don't feel sorry for you. Now when I say that we shouldn't have parties, or I throw a bone to those people that say we should, I don't want it to look like some freaking circus like it was in California when Gray Davis left office or was pretty much booted out. And Arnold got it where you had a stripper and all these other people run. No, that's just a freaking circus. Okay? No, let's have legitimate candidates from minor parties as well. The Independent American Party, whatever. We, the people, deserve, number one, to hear what these people have to say, and two, we can judge for ourselves. The Democratic and Republican parties are only two puppets for the same puppet master. They're the ones telling us, here's one puppet, here's the other puppet. You decide. Excuse me, hello, what about the puppet master? Oh, don't look at him. Don't look at the man behind the curtain. Really? He's the one running things. I should be pissed off at them. They're all puppets, folks. This whole situation is all rigged. Your votes don't count. Well, why should we vote then? Well, I'm not saying don't. I'm just saying it's all rigged. We should consider, number one, think about, that's what the word consider means. We should think about what this country is right now today compared to what we believe it should be in the next 4 years. Do you want Obama again? Holy crap, this country's in the hole now. And it's going to collapse if he stays in office. Remember what he told Medvedev when he was here? Tell Putin, things will change after I'm reelected, after the elections. You remember that? Hearing it on an open mic? Yeah. Tell me it's not rigged. You're out of your mind. We should vote, but we should vote with purpose. Okay? We should vote with purpose. When I come back from the break, I've got my sample ballot. I'll read you off some of the instructions in the silver state of Nevada, where I live, in the biggest little city in the world, FEMA Region 9. I live in Reno, Nevada. Capital being Carson City, Nevada, not Las Vegas. Ask anybody. Go out. Try this as a test. I've done this. It's amazing. Go out and ask just random people or somebody, hey, what's the capital of, whatever state you're in? Chances are they're going to know that. But if you ask students in high school or whatever, or college, you're going to go, what? 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 You got a video game? What? Yeah, so, I don't know. This whole thing is rigged, and we need to expose the people behind the system. Yes, there is a shadow government, folks, running things. It is more apparent now because of the quickening of the things that are happening. You won't see it in the mainstream news. You got to go to the alternative news, alternative media. Drudge Report, look at that aggregate. Infowars.com, PrisonPlanet.com, people of that nature. And even, yes, you can listen to Rush Limbaugh if you like. He touches upon it too. You can listen to Glenn Beck. He touches upon it too. But we need to change things, and we need to start doing it pretty soon, like today. This is the views expressed on the Liberty and Freedom Network. I'll be back right after this.
About a show called Diane and Wayne's Grab Bag Potpourri. It's a talk show. Well, it's called Grab Bag Potpourri for a reason. They talk about everything under the sun, from education to politics, from lines at the cashier in the stores to parking lot drivers not paying attention. You want real radio? Well, you don't get any more real than that. That's Diane and Wayne's Grab Bag Potpourri talk show. Fridays at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, and a whole lot of fun.
If you think you know about your country, think again. Reverend Wayne S. Pierce does. Go listen to his show, The Views Expressed, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. You'll listen to Reverend Wayne S. Pierce because this is no longer the United States of America we used to live in. Go listen to Reverend Wayne S. Pierce before you won't have your freedom to listen to him, or anyone else for that matter, any longer.
This is Spreaker Reviews.
Hey everybody, join the only review show on Spreaker.com. That's right, Nick Schott with Spreaker Reviews. Every Monday through Friday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. Check it out. Nick Schott, Spreaker Reviews. Every Monday through Friday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. Only here on Spreaker.com.
It's New York, February 6, 1964. The Beatles are making their appearance on The Ed Sullivan Show in one more day. The Plaza Hotel is crazy with the preparations. Alex Frazier, a desk clerk, has secretly let his brother Freddie use the penthouse suite for the evening so he can wine and dine the girl of his dreams. What Alex and Freddie don't know is the Secret Service are using the same room to hide spy novelist Henry Lade. His most recent novel has attracted the attention of the Soviets and East Germans. The communist countries believe Lade may have secretly discovered their plot to bomb Fresno. Assassins are dispatched to kidnap or kill Lade, whichever is easiest. What Agent John Parker and Henry Lade don't know is the Beatles are staying in the same room for their first appearance on American television. Let's Get Laid by Thomas Amo, available on the Kindle at Amazon.com. Calvin Wheeler is an American dreamer in a triple threat cage match with his two biggest adversaries, everyday life and himself. His marriage to the woman he believed to be his soulmate is rapidly evaporating before his eyes. The book he's been working on for over a decade is slipping through his fingers as he struggles to complete it. As these pressures grow, Calvin compensates by conjuring up outrageous road rage scenarios in the multiplex of his mind. To make matters even worse, he drives for a living. As his life, job, and dreams simultaneously implode, his wild fantasies begin to literally bleed over into reality. Now, with a gun in one hand and a steering wheel in the other, this distant runner-up in the human race feels empowered for the very first time. And the moral to the story? Traffic can be murder. Red Asphalt by Scott Cherney. Available on the Kindle and in paperback at Amazon.com. This is the views expressed right here on the Liberty and Freedom Network for the 18th of October 2012. Hello, I am your host, Reverend Wayne S. Pierce. There's a lot of things going on. Just a bunch of stuff. And before the break, I told you I would read you some of the instructions on the sample ballot. By the way, we have early voting here in Nevada for those living in Nevada. We have early voting from October 20th, this Saturday, to November 2nd. So if you want to get down to your polling place, please do so. But listen to this. Nevada law does not permit write-ins. It is against the law to attempt to vote more than once in an election. I brought that up because of the fact that voter ID law is bouncing around, and some people are for it, some people are against it. Well, anybody with common sense would say, hey, yes, voter ID, hello, show your ID when you vote. Yes, that way you don't go over to all the precincts and vote more than once. Well, you see, the illegal aliens want that. They don't want to show their ID. They want to go out and just vote wherever they want. No. I'm for voter ID. If I have to prove to, my bank when I cash a check that I am who I am and I got to show some ID, you bet I want it for voting. Okay? It cuts down on fraud too. So, there you go. That's my view on that. But here's who's on the sample ballot for the federal offices. Of course, we have Barack Obama and Joe Biden, Democrats. We have Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan, who are Republicans. Then we have a libertarian, who is Gary Johnson, and his vice presidential candidate, James Gray. And then we have the Independent American Party, Virgil Goode and Jim Clymer. That's who's running there. And then we have some senators, of course. Here in Nevada, we have Shelley Berkeley, Dean Heller, and David Laurie Vanderbeek. And, of course, we have representatives in Congress in District 2, State Senator, Senate District 13, and State Assembly District 30. We have all that. But there are some people who are running unopposed. So what's going on in your neck of the woods? Fact of the matter is, it's all rigged. Now, some of the minor offices, such as your city council and all that, they've probably signed on to, and of course, your county board of supervisors, have probably signed on to this Agenda 21 Sustainable Development Charter, this pact, this whatever agreement they have with the United Nations. So they're already being told what to do, how to do it, from the bottom up. We'll do this, this, and this, and force people to come into this, what we're planning on. But then you have the top dogs, which are the governors and the lieutenant governors and the state senators and the president and all that, dealing with the top-down portion of it all. The little guys are going to force all of us citizens into this one little area. The big guys are going to come in and slam down the cover. You see how that works? That's pretty much it. Okay? So voting doesn't matter. So why do we vote? Again, it is a process. Like I said, here in Nevada, you can't write in. There's no write-ins. You can't write it in. Because, how many times can you vote for Mickey Mouse? You know what I mean? Seriously. So, you have to follow your conscience. You have to follow what is right. Am I for, Obama or Romney? I'm not for either one of them. I'm not for Biden or Ryan either. Okay? I'm nonpartisan, and that's what it means. I'm non-partisan. No, we just shouldn't have parties. I agree with Jesse Ventura. Don't vote party line. Don't vote for Democrat or Republican. He supports Gary Johnson, but I don't know enough about him to say yay or nay. So what do we do? Here we are. We're in a country that once was the greatest nation in the world. Now other countries see us as the biggest police state in the world, and we are. Because now we have Mayor Nanny Bloomberg in New York City saying you can't buy sodas, 32 ounces or more. And he's trying to do that with popcorn and every other soda in the whole city. It's for the children. It's obesity. No. That's the parents' responsibility, not the mayor's responsibility. Then you have the government, the Department of Homeland Security and all that, and TSA and the National Weather Service, and with a combined total of 1.5 billion rounds of ammunition for what? Then you have down in Texas, I got to verify this, but I saw this as a little blurb somewhere. You have down in Texas that they're building domes, rooms, warehouses, domes, many of them, domed enclosures. Why? Okay? I don't know. Then you have our military. You have our military in every other country trying to occupy it for the New World Order, because that's what we are now. Our military is now the world police. Oh, do we still have military here? Yes, we do. We have a lot of military here. Not from this country, but we have a lot of military here, from Israeli military, Saudi military, Canadian military, Russian military. We have them here on our land. Why? Red Dawn? Ring a bell? Yeah, they're in training with law enforcement. Why are they training? What are they training for? To take our guns. Basically what it is. Bottom line, take our guns, take our liberties. I'm like Charlton Heston. They can have my gun when they can pry it out of my cold, dead hands. That's bottom line. It is our obligation as American citizens to understand that if we don't like what's coming out of Washington, D.C., we can do something about it. And if the Constitution and the Bill of Rights was still in effect, we have a 10th Amendment. Secede. Oh, that's going to take this, and it's going to take a long time, and state legislature wouldn't do that. Okay, then. We are obligated by the principles of liberty and freedom that we live by, and by constitutional protections that are there. We are obligated to defend ourselves from enemies, foreign and domestic. For all you military and former military personnel and law enforcement, I don't even want to call them law enforcement anymore. They're supposed to be peace officers, not law enforcement. Oh, they'll enforce the law, right? TSA way. You know what I mean? So, but what do we do? I mean, we're in this country. We're in this country, and we're watching it collapse right out from under us. And we can do something about it. The great 20th century philosopher said that. About your own personal self, your own personal enlightenment, something can be done about it. And it can, because we can look at ourselves and say, hey, wait, whoa. That little gut feeling you have, that little intuition that you got, that little something inside just doesn't make the situation, you know, something outside of you is not making the situation feel right, and you can feel it within you, that gut feeling. It's 100% correct at all times. We, the people, need to stand up and say, no more. Here's what we're going to do. We can do it. There is no, what's Yoda saying? Try not, do, or do not. There is no try. And that's it. You either do it or you don't. If I've studied different philosophies and religions throughout my years, and I can tell you that we do live in a duality. When you look at the yin and the yang, it is a duality. And at the heart of those different perspectives, those different ways of looking at things, you find good, you find bad. You find evil, you find, pleasantries. You find, all this, that, and the other thing. But where is your heart? And that's the thing. When you go to the polls this November, or in a couple of weeks, you got to vote for a person that you know is going to say, hey, screw you people, this is what we're going to do in America, because this is still the United States. I want a president that's going to stand up to the UN and say, we quit. We're not giving you any money anymore. You want to control us through Agenda 21 Sustainable Development policies? No, bite me. We're not doing it. That's the kind of president I want. Jesse Ventura said if he is guaranteed to be on the ballot in every state, in all 50 states, and guaranteed to be in the debates, he's going to run in 2016. Okay? So let's push to get him on the ballot. Okay? He's a former SEAL. He's former military. He's a former mayor, or not mayor, he's a former governor of Minnesota. I mean, come on. What has Mitt Romney done? Nothing. Okay? If you look at the record of Mitt Romney, and I don't want to bash him too much, but his venture capitalist, that's what his company was. Took companies, bought them, worked with them a little bit, and then collapsed them and made money on their demise. Do we really want a president like that? Then we have the current president, who's a community organizer, who wants social justice. Yeah, not like any of not like any of the material from Jeremiah Wright's church didn't, rub off on him, right? And of course, we have a current president who, Frank Marshall Davis is his father, by the way. Go look him up. Go to XQuick search engine or startpage.com. And, Frank Marshall Davis. I mean, come on. 2 and 2, folks, is still 4 in my book. Joel Gilbert made a film about that. You can pick that up. Look, Dreams of My Real Father. Look that up as well. Joel Gilbert. But we live in a society where we're bombarded with all this propaganda saying, look, here's the two-party system. Oh, we have minor parties? Oh, forget those. They don't mean anything. Okay, if they don't mean anything, then why don't you allow the people, we the people, to decide if what they say doesn't matter? You know what I'm saying? We grow up, we go to these governmental indoctrination institutes, these schools, these education things, and we're taught to look up to authority, are we not? We're taught that, well, at an early age, we're taught to look at the lesser of two evils. Okay? We're taught to look at that. And that goes back farther, way, way back, thousands of years. But just in school, we're taught to look at the lesser of two evils. Well, that person wasn't all that bad, was he? No, the bully that kicked my ass? No, he wasn't all that bad. He's a nice guy. He's a choir boy at church, but he kicks my butt at school every day. Okay, give me a freaking break, people. The propaganda goes back long before 1913. If you go back to like the presidential elections or even the elections in the 1800s, late 1800s, you'll find a lot of the same crap happening then than it does now. But we're fed this propaganda that we have to stay on the two-party system. No, we don't. No, we don't. Period. We don't have to stay on this two-party system. Now, what is the JR in the Spreaker chat asked, what is the answer to getting rid of all the parties, blah blah blah? What's the answer? The answer is people. Over 95% of Congress are attorneys. Why do you think they get away with all the crap they get away with? Okay? Over 95% of Congress is attorneys. I believe the whole process needs to collapse and we need to rebuild it in this manner. Get rid of the lobbyists and the special interest groups. Kick them out. Get rid of all the hard money. No corporation funding anywhere for any political candidate whatsoever, period, end of sentence. Get rid of them. Okay? What's that going to boil down to? It's going to boil down to the states. In the original form of this government, we had people in the states voting for those people, like the representatives and senators and all that, to go to Washington, D.C. to represent us. That was in the early stages of this government. Now it's who gains most of the money wins. It is said that Obama just received, or total amount in his coffer for the presidential run is over $1 billion. He with the most money wins. Really? I thought it was about votes. Oh, wait. No, it's not. It's about criminal activity behind the scenes. It's about who can pull buttons, who can twist this, who can make this, who can disseminate the propaganda to get people to believe beyond a reasonable doubt who the best person for the job is. That's what it is now. Anyway, if you want to follow along, please do. Oh, yeah, JR said, I almost forgot. Get rid of unions. What? But unions made this country. No, they didn't make this country. Entrepreneurs. Your grandpa, your grandma, your great-grandparents, your ancestors, the blacksmith back in the 17 or 1800s. That's the people that put this country where it is today. Well, not where it is today. That's who started this country. The railroad, believe it or not, prior to 1913, I think it was, prior to that, the railroad was funded by private businessmen who contracted with some other organizations that were connected with the government, but it wasn't a complete abdication of private rule of the railroads. It was a conglomeration. It was a partnership. It's like, yes, this is what, but you want to see how good a company is under government rule? Post office. How's that? Speaking of railroads, the railroads, it's under government control. And how well are they doing? Look at the airlines. Oh, yeah, they're private. Yeah, no, they're not. You know how the government funnels or launders money into companies? It's called the SEC. The SEC, Security Exchange Commission. They're the people that oversee what? The New York Stock Exchange. Hello. There's your massive laundering of money right there. And they do it on speculation. And they do it on futures. They don't look at the actual numbers and say, well, this company only makes, $2 billion and we projected it was going to make $5 billion. Did we lose money? No. If you go on the actuality, you'll have a hell of a lot of millionaires out there, but they go on speculation. So you got billionaires out there that made their money on what? Nothing. Kind of like how the government pulls money out of the air, called derivatives. Our total debt, according to the USDebtClock.org, says that we're $16 trillion in the hole. No, we're not. It's a lot more than that. Under derivatives market, under all this other stuff, it is said that we are somewhere between $700 trillion to $2 quadrillion in derivatives in the hole. That's derivative. That's money out of my butt. That's just, make up a figure. There you go. You owe it. No, you don't. Prime example, Iceland. They collapsed their country, threw their politicians in jail, recreated their country, and then the EU came along and said, hey, you want to sign on? And they're going, no, that's how we got in trouble in the first place. It's a massive Social Security, school loans, mortgages, all of that gigantic Ponzi scheme to do what? To financially enslave all of us so that we would have to pay the man his tribute. Give to Caesar what is Caesar's. Give to God what is God's. I'm not saying we shouldn't pay taxes, but let's throw this scenario out here. Let's just put this what if out here, okay? Hypothetical, if you will. What if we have over 300, what is it, last count? 310 million people in this country, right? Probably 60, well, I would say somewhere about 30% of them are illegals. Should be sending them back. But anyway. What if just 180 million people in this country, that's probably as many people as paying taxes, the rest of them are sucking off the teat of the government. What if 180 million people didn't pay their taxes? What, the feds are going to come put them all in jail? I doubt it. I know anarchists that say we shouldn't have taxes. They also say we shouldn't have military, but how are we going to protect ourselves? Ooh, it's called the militia. It's called the Second Amendment. Hello? I don't know, folks. Getting to the top of the hour here. Going to take another break a little bit. And I don't know. I've been ranting on this whole business of just many different facets of government here, and how much of a fraud, or how much of a Ponzi scheme this whole thing is. How much of our votes don't count. How much of it's rigged. Mortgages, student loans, all of that, they're all fraud. They're all there to enslave us. I mean, I've gotten into a whole lot of stuff. So, after the top of the hour break, I'll be back and go to Liberty and Freedom Network on Facebook, and you will read you'll scroll down. It says DOD, Population Control, part of U.S. Stability Operations. You'll find that. You'll find a video of Romney admits he would have signed the National Defense Authorization Act if he were president. And right below that, Obama and FEMA create civilian army trained in domestic preparedness. What did he say in 2008 in his campaign? I will get into that as well. So at the top of the hour, we're going to take a break here. It's going to be a little over 3 minutes long. And I shall be back. We shall talk, or I will talk about articles on Liberty and Freedom Network on Facebook. Go check out the website associated with this page. You'll see on the right-hand side a book I wrote, Many Directions of Man. It's just, some observations and some solutions. On the right-hand side, on the left-hand side, you'll see a donate button. Please donate. Would love to have your support. This is the views expressed on the Liberty and Freedom Network, broadcasting live from FEMA Region 9 on Spreaker.com.
Listen to Angel Clark Monday through Friday, 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Radio Freedom News Network. RadioFreedom.us.
Have you heard about a show called Diane and Wayne's Grab Bag Potpourri? It's a talk show. Well, it's called Grab Bag Potpourri for a reason. They talk about everything under the sun, from education to politics, from lines at the cashier in the stores to parking lot drivers not paying attention. You want real radio? Well, you don't get any more real than that. That's Diane and Wayne's Grab Bag Potpourri talk show. Fridays at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, and a whole lot of fun.
We went to the streets to ask people, what do you like about Doc FM?
Oh, well, I think he's sexy. He has a very sexy voice, and he makes my headphones tingle.
I think the doctor is very smart. Everything he tells you, you must learn it, because it is smartness to know. Plus, he plays my favorite music. He plays like the 80s and the 70s and the 44s and the 62s.
J'ai pas eu une seule occasion de rester sans rien faire depuis que je suis arrivé à Camelot. Je suis trop occupé à courir derrière Arthur. Fais ci Merlin, fais ça Merlin. Et quand je cours pas derrière Arthur, je fais des corvées pour vous. Et quand je fais pas ça, j'accomplis mon...
Doc FM on Spreaker.com.
Well, it's no secret that Doctor won't play none of that countrified music, so I don't really listen to him that much, but when I do, it's a hold down. The first time that I listened to the doctor, he was making fun of the British. After I got over my attitude, I came back and listened to him. He's wonderful and raucous.
Listen to Doc FM every Saturday evening, 7 p.m. Central, right here on Spreaker.com.
You are listening to the views expressed. You're in the right place on the 18th of October 2012. This is Reverend Wayne S. Pierce. You are listening to the Liberty and Freedom Network, broadcasting live on Spreaker.com. Go to Liberty and Freedom Network if you want to follow along. There's a video there of Romney admitting he would have signed the National Defense Authorization Act. There's also Obama and FEMA create civilian army trained in domestic preparedness. Of course, Judge Andrew Napolitano, states Obama has argued that his careful consideration of each person he orders killed and the narrow use of deadly force are an adequate and constitutional substitute for due process. The Constitution provides no such thing. He has also argued that the use of drones to do his killing is humane since they are surgical and only kill their targets. We know this is incorrect. He has argued that these killings are consistent with our values. What is he talking about? The essence of our values is the rule of law, not the rule of presidents. That is so true. That is from Judge Andrew Napolitano. There is a picture up there from Truth Beckons. This has been going around for quite a while. H.R. 347 says if anyone causes a disruption, aka protest, at a government building or near someone protected by the Secret Service, they can be jailed up to 10 years in federal prison. That is the average time served for murder. Manslaughter is usually 1 year. So Congress thinks exercising your right to free speech is more dangerous than murder. So much for freedom. That's a picture up there on Liberty and Freedom Network on Facebook. There's a whole bunch of stuff. The Last Days of America, 25 Signs of Extreme Social Decay. There's also photos of U.S. and Afghan troops patrolling poppy fields, June of 2012. Also, Homeland Security graduates first corps of Obama's brown shirts, Homeland Youth. October 7th, 2012, Vicksburg. Video shows TSA bizarre new security policy. Got a whole bunch of that. FEMA Corps arrival. Got a video or a article on that from FEMA.gov of all places. They're just now, they know that we're on to them, and they're just now saying, you know what, we've had enough. We're just going to tell you exactly what we're going to do now. So it doesn't really matter. You know, it's weird. It really is that here we are. We have fought for freedoms. We stand, we are protected. Our freedoms are protected, and we stand on that, called the Constitution, Bill of Rights. We understand this. We know this. But Washington, D.C. thinks we're stupid. Thinks that we won't see through their criminal activity or see that they are committing a criminal act against us. Okay? It's really strange, isn't it? Oh, and by the way, there's a federal agents cook phony bomb for terrorists who smear end of Fed movement. Yeah, the FBI false flag event got a patsy, and then they squashed the event. They said, no, we'll arrest them now. Also, LRAD, LRAD, sound cannon will squash Occupy protests. There's a picture of that up there. And, of course, the wonderful comedian late Bill Hicks. It's Just a Ride video. You might want to check that out. Oh, and here's what I was talking about. False flag terrorist attack on Federal Reserve Bank of New York. So there's a whole bunch of that. You want to know the script of how we infiltrate and occupy countries? That's up there too. From This Group Only Posts Once a Day on Facebook. That's the name of the group. U.S. war script. 1. Send in CIA asset provocateurs. 2. Start propaganda campaign. 3. Accuse of WMDs. 4. Paint as dictatorship that overtly denies its own people basic rights like speech and assembly. 5. Order no-fly zone, lobby the world for a humanitarian mission. 6. Bomb the shit out of them, torture them, jail them. That's what the thing says. Number 7, form central bank for Rothschilds. It's British bankers. Number 8, sell off resources to international cabal. 9, establish military bases. And 10, plant a puppet government. There you go. I couldn't have summed it up any better than that. Okay. Another article down here. Clinton takes partial responsibility for the murder of U.S. Ambassador Stevens. Suzanne Posel over at Occupy Corporatism wrote that one. And what's happening in... where is this now? It's from the Examiner.com, but what's happening over in Alabama, Louisiana and Alabama? 11 military explosions prompt Louisiana evacuations, injures man in Alabama. What's happening? Underground base maybe being built somewhere? Who knows? Let's see. Whole bunch of stuff. There's a whole bunch of pictures. Whole bunch of pictures. Okay. Jill Stein, who was on the ballot in some places for president, and Sherry Honkala or something, Honkala, protest at Hofstra debate. That was on the day that Obama and Romney debated the other day. And these two women got arrested for their freedoms, for standing up and having free assembly and free speech. Okay? If you watch the videos, there's two of them there. If you watch the videos, you'll see that all they were doing was sitting there. They have a right to peacefully assemble. And they were. And they got arrested. One of the videos goes straight into, why and a whole bunch of other stuff. You need to watch it yourself. It's just incredible. It is just incredible. Scrolling on down at Liberty and Freedom Network on Facebook. My view of the debate, well, it's real simple. I'll tell you what it is. Naturally, I wrote it here on Liberty and Freedom Network on Facebook. Naturally, both sides and their constituents think they won. They didn't. They did not. The American people won. How? By seeing through the misinformation that Obama was dishing out and the lack of credible and correct answers, or lacking the ability to answer. Romney literally called out the president. What did the president do? He asked for help from the moderator. He cannot stand up for himself. Romney, on the other hand, stood his ground. Is one better than the other? Nope. They both are bought and paid for by globalist money, and they both are puppets, with one puppet master. Candy Crowley was completely inadequate in moderating the debates. It was such a joke last night that they should have had Stephen Colbert moderate the debates. People are not stupid. They see through the lies, through the manipulation. This makes my belief in getting rid of the parties much more secure and viable. And before you say, I am for one or the other, even if people voted independent, Gary Johnson, that would only give Obama another 4 years. Romney would continue everything that is currently happening and add a completely new level of tyranny across the board. They're both controlled. They're both masters of deception. We, the people, see through it. So, yeah, that's my take on it. Speaking out against the government is now considered a mental disorder as well as creativity. Did you see that article? Creativity is also a mental disorder, a mental illness. And wonderful Bill Gates, yes, Bill Gates, the former chief architect of the Microsoft Windows products, said, and I quote, "The world has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 to 15%. It's Bill Gates, member of the Bilderberg Group. Yeah. Here's what I was talking about a little earlier about Jill Stein. Police arrest U.S. presidential candidate Jill Stein at debate site. The candidates claim that the Commission on Presidential Debates is an unfair entity formed by Democratic and Republican leaders designed to exclude any opposition. That's true. That's true. I look it up. Okay. I talked about in the first hour, I talked about the governmental indoctrination institutes. Here's a video called Public Education Has Become Indoctrination and Distraction. Go check that out as well. And there are so many things that we are not being told. Now, I know for a fact someone's going to say, well, why should the government tell you everything? That would only give our enemies, that much more fodder against us. I agree. But if the government told us the things that we want them to tell us so that we can protect ourselves, I don't think that's a bad idea. I really don't. Hell, the government is covering up the JFK murder. Yes, it's a murder, not an assassination. If anybody who has, fired any type of weapon like I have, you can tell that Zapruder film, yeah, he was shot from the front. Hello. I knew this long before Oliver Stone brought out his movie. Okay? I knew this long before. Okay? The government covers up Area 51. Covers up, well, thank you, Bill Clinton, for putting out Memo 35-95 saying that there is a facility out there, but it's for national, reasons that he can't get into. Government's covering up Roswell. Did anything happen out there? Don't know. But a lot of people from the mortuary, from nurses, from a bunch of other witnesses out there said that something happened. I don't get into all that because, I've done in the past and I know what I've received as the answers to those questions. But I look to this government and I look to how it is structured, and guess what? Our Congress is still working under parliamentary procedures of, wait for it, House of Commons. We just don't have people standing up yelling at one another. Well, not that you can see on C-SPAN anyway. We still operate under that. But there's been a change of direction. And the change of direction is pretty simple. Really. It's called the North American Union. That's what they want. 2005, George Bush, King Bush II, as I'd like to call him, Canadian Prime Minister Paul Martin and then President of Mexico Vicente Fox got together in Texas of all places, signed a piece of paper called the SPP document, Securities and Prosperities Partnership, creating the foundation for the North American Union. In 2009, President Obama, current Prime Minister of Canada Stephen Harper, and current President of Mexico Felipe Calderon got together, signed another little piece of paper creating the infrastructure for the North American Union. And then, on top of that, President Obama has signed well over 300 executive orders, signed on to the Patriot Act and continued its criminal policies. December 31st, 2011, signed the NDAA into law, virtually gutting the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Signed on to rural development, which is another Agenda 21 policy. Okay? So how can you sit there and say President Obama's good? And then just remember the big thing on TV? I got my Obama phone. Remember that? We got to vote Obama because he gives away stuff. Yeah, remember that? Yeah. Don't give me this crap that he's going to be anything other than what he is. A democratic socialist, progressive Marxist that wants to take away all of our rights, all of our sovereignty, and hand the United States of America over to the United Nations under Agenda 21 rule, creating a North American Union. Check it out. Endgame Blueprint for Global Enslavement. Go look that up. Infowars.com, InfoWarsStore.com. It's on YouTube. You can find it for free. Endgame. Go look that up. This is the Liberty and Freedom Network. The views expressed right here on Spreaker.com. This is the views expressed right here on the Liberty and Freedom Network, broadcasting on Spreaker.com. Spreaker.com. They got some good plans. Go to Spreaker.com, scroll down to the bottom of the page, you'll see plans. Go check it out. Awesome. A lot better than blogtalkradio.com, I'm telling you. I'm telling you. A lot cheaper, too. Go check it out. Spreaker.com. Anyway. Before the break, talking about this whole business of Agenda 21, this whole, what's happening in the whole nine yards. You really have to pay attention to what's going on with these candidates. You can tell by their body language, first of all, and you just look in their eyes. Come on. But look what they want to do. Look what they want to do. I'm serious. It was apparent to me when the when the Republican debates were going on, whatever it was, the beginning of this year or last year or whatever, when people started running like Herman Cain and and all that, and Ron Paul, whole nine yards. When I saw Mitt Romney step onto the scene, I knew something was up. I knew that, that nice looking, he's nice, he's saying the right things. I knew that was going to be the person. I knew it. There was no question about it. But I knew he was connected in some way, and I just didn't know how much or how deep was he connected. Well, then he shows up at the Bilderberg group, according to 4 different eyewitnesses there, that said that he was there in Chantilly, Virginia in May 31st, 2012. So, all these candidates have to get the blessing of David Rockefeller and the rest of the Bilderberg group before they even go. Now, what about the other candidates, Republican candidates? Well, it's kind of like sitting around looking at at a room full of quarterbacks and you're looking for the best quarterback for your team. Pretty much that's what it was. You know. So they bought and paid for him right there. You know. And is he going to win? I have no idea. Or is the rumor correct that Obama is going to declare a national emergency, literally shutting down and suspending the Constitution, which he's already done that, and suspending elections? Is he going to do that? Don't know. My crystal ball seems a little bit foggy at that point. I don't really know. But I can tell you this much. We cannot put up with another 4 years living in the tyranny that we live in. Now, I know some people are going to say, why are you spreading all that fear, you fearmonger? Why are you... No, it's not. No. Take a look around you. Take a look at what's there. Have you gotten gas lately? Huh? Have you gotten gas lately? Like within, a week? Have you noticed in the past 6 months gas prices have gone up? Pastor Lindsey Williams has said, one of his elite connections had said that the reason why they cannot bring a barrel of oil to $150 a barrel is because of you and I getting the word out that this is what's happening, and we're putting the screws to them, and they don't like it. But you notice that it's coming up wintertime, it's seasonal. Of course, people are going to say, well, it's seasonal. It's always goes up in the winter, all this. True, to a certain degree, yeah, but look at what's happening. Right now, down the street from where I'm doing this show, there's a gas station that shows $4.17. In California, a friend of mine took a vacation, went down to Southern California, and gas in LA, Los Angeles, was $5.39 a gallon. So come on. Have you noticed what's going on? JR in the Spreaker chat, JR Wild in the Spreaker chat said it perfectly. President Obama is going to do whatever he can to protect himself, and that is absolutely true. But then again, so is Romney. Okay? I mean, imagine all of this. Imagine what would have happened if Al Gore was president. Just imagine, just for a moment, Al Gore as president. How would he have handled September 11th, 2001? Well, you know why he didn't get to be president? Because of his connections. His father and a bunch of other people. You didn't know that? Yeah. How many points away was it that he lacked to be president? Wasn't that much, comparatively speaking. Wasn't that much. But I don't think we'd be in the mess now if he was. Although, you never know. You never know. It's kind of like Bill Clinton saying he didn't have sex with that woman. No, he didn't. But anyway, enough about that. Go to Liberty and Freedom Network on Facebook. Thank you very much. Like the page. Support the show. Go to the website associated with the link. Go to the link for the website associated with the show. There we go. That's what I meant. See, the sinus meds are kicking in, and holy crap. From OccupyCorporatism.com, Suzanne Posel over there wrote from September 24th, 2012, just a little less than a month ago. Obama and FEMA create civilian army trained in domestic preparedness. On August 13th, a new class of 231 FEMA Corps members graduated to assist the U.S. government in future disaster preparedness, whether state-sponsored or natural. These members trained with a corporation, or I should say these members trained with or at the Corporation of National Community Services, CNCS, and will be leaders at FEMA's Center for Domestic Preparedness, where they will be assigned to specific roles ranging from community relations to disaster recovery. Yeah, to the Disaster Recovery Center. Click on the link and read the rest of that. I've read it before, and trust me, you won't like it. No, you won't. You won't like it. It's really amazing to me that we have a system that now has a total disregard to the liberties and freedoms of the people that are here. Seriously. It's amazing that we live in a country like that now. But then again, does it surprise anybody? Does it? I don't know. Doesn't surprise me. I saw this coming a hell of a long time ago. Because you understand the trends, you understand the game plans, you understand what's happening, you look back in history, you examine what's going on, and you say, hey, could this ever happen again? You look back in history and go, it happened then, it happened here, it happened in the Roman Empire, it happened in, the British colonies, it happened in Europe with the British rule, British monarchy. Hell, folks, we had 2 presidents on this continent at one point. A Confederate president with a Union president. I think it was, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it was Jefferson Davis. And of course, you had Abraham Lincoln. So don't tell me this country cannot be divided. Because it is. It already is. And what happened is in that division, we had some men that showed up on the scene that decided, hey, I like this division. Let's play each one of them off one another. And that's what's happening today. People don't know that Abraham Lincoln called for martial law when the war broke out, when the Civil War broke out. Well, a pseudo martial law. He suspended the Constitution. Nobody realizes that the little things that happen in our history have created bigger problems in our current government at this point. Check this out. 1913. President Woodrow Wilson signs the IRS, or the Internal Revenue Act, creating the IRS. He also signed the Federal Reserve Act, which created the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve Bank is private, owned by other banks and other at that time was billionaires, such as the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, Carnegies, Fords, you name it. That was their money. And, we were in Europe doing something. Oh, yeah. We were trying to find information. And we found it, and we got ourselves wrapped up in a World War I. But guess who loaned us the money? Yes, the Federal Reserve. The Rothschilds, the Rockefellers. All of those playing off of the fears of the people of that time. World War I, 1914 to 1918. Look at that, 4 years. Wow. And to pay for that war, they had the Internal Revenue Service, which is the biggest collection agency in the world. Yeah, I don't care. You can go to Switzerland, they're going to get you. Doesn't matter. It's a private organization. Has nothing to do with the federal government. It's a private organization. That's why I said, what would happen if 180 million people didn't pay their taxes? What, they put us all in jail? Oh no, they'll just probably fly drones over our house. That'll happen. We'll have 30,000 drones in the air by 2015. So here we are, 1914, 1918, World War I. 1918 to 1927, 28, around in there. Start getting word that, well, a couple of things. We got word that finances are starting to really suck for America. So, and I think it was somewhere in March or April of 1929, the feds are going, excuse me. When I say feds, I'm talking members of Washington, D.C. They turn to the Federal Reserve and say, dudes, we're like running out of money here. But they had to have a reason to take the money from us through the Internal Revenue Service. So there was this little thing happening over in Germany, over in Europe, over there, over in Poland, over in that whole area, right? This is about 1929, 1930, or actually it was earlier than that, about 28, 29, and boom, stock market crash, October 1929, falls, it's done. You know, the government's just like, holy crap, we're out of money. People are on the breadline. People are still on the breadline now. It's called EBT or Lone Star, whatever kind of food subsidy you're on and whatever card you're carrying. We're just not out in the streets at these homeless shelters picking up soup. But then the OSS, the which is now what we know as the CIA and the British intelligence, found this World War I veteran that just seemed so aggressive and so forward and so charismatic at that point. And they set him up. Yeah, they set him up. And in 1933, he ran virtually unopposed for being a leader of Germany. His name's Adolf Hitler. 1933 to 1945. We've been in how many wars between that time? Okay? It wasn't a world war. Let me correct everybody on that. From 1933 to 1941, there was no world war. We were just fighting over in Europe. Okay? Don't know why. I don't know why we were over there, right? Seriously? But we were over there. In some capacity, some military capacity, we were over there. Well, we needed another distraction because we wanted to invade Germany and occupy that and get Hitler out of the way, because he told the OSS and the British intelligence that he thumbed his nose at us and went, no, I'm going to do what I want. You can kiss my butt. Well, we needed to get him out. So we created another distraction over there. But now here's this. As early as October, November of 1941, the president already knew that General Yamamoto was going to inflict something on the United States. He didn't know. He didn't know until about a week, maybe a week and a half before December 7th, 1941. He knew it. His intelligence was telling him that. People in Hawaii were going, Mr. President, look, we've got this. Translators on the radios, people intercepting radio frequencies, but some of those were falsified, things on the enemy's part because of the fact that they were saying, yeah, we think they're listening, so we'll shoot them off in this direction and see what they say. So there was that distraction. Were we working with Japan to bomb our own people? I don't know. Throw that in the conspiracy theory bin? Because I have no idea. But it's all in history. It's all out there. You can see all this. So what do? Pearl Harbor gets bombed December 7th, 1941. The president comes out and says Japan's now an enemy. Well, you know why? How else are we supposed to have a strategic base near Germany? A refueling station, if it were. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with the Philippines. Same thing. We needed these strategic areas to refuel our planes to bomb the crap out of people so we can invade their country. That's my opinion. But in history, when you look at it, that surely looks like what they did, right? So here we are. Then 1945, Russia was on our butts. They were saying, hey, wait a minute, here's this. We told Russia, you don't want to mess with us, okay? Really, you don't. They're going, yeah, right. So what do? We bomb Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Russia goes, oops, I think we pissed off the big dog in the yard. So they back down. We get in this Cold War thing, this little, amnesty type thing. I don't know what the hell it was. It was called the Cold War, and it wasn't really a war. And we build up our arsenals. That's in 1945. Now, 6 years later, we find out that Russia is funding, and China is funding, actually China more so than Russia, was funding North Korea. And Japan was funding South Korea. Well, we just blew the crap out of Japan, so here we get involved in South Korea. Right? In some way, the negotiations went that way, and we wind up sending troops to South Korea. Okay, now that's 1951 to 1954, 55, correct me if I'm wrong. Not a big deal. Okay, boom, 4 years. Look at all the wars. 4 years, boom, down the line, 4 years. Okay? But they all surround, get this, presidential elections. Think about it. Either in the middle of somebody's presidency or right at, in the election process. Okay? I got chills. I know I'm right. Okay? So think about that now. 1954, 55, that's the whole thing, whatever. Again, what happened? 1957, 58, somewhere around in there. France comes to America and says, yeah, we don't like you, but we seem to think that you're better at negotiations than we are. Guess where we send advisors? Vietnam. So the French go, hey, look, Americans are here. And they jam and they go back home. Okay. I don't know. They're cowards. But anyway, we get involved with that. From 1957, 58, we start advising, blah, blah, blah. Takes a little longer than our process. We run into a different president, yada, yada, yada. November 20th, in 1962, I think it was. We got the Bay of Pigs. We got Kennedy going, no. We will blow you out of the water if you continue to put missiles into Cuba, Mr. Russian President. Basically, they didn't like that. The reason why all that was solved was because Russia found out that we found out they were there. They got caught with their hand in a cookie jar, basically. So basically, breaking all this down, here we are in this whole realm of war from after the assassination of President Kennedy, because he didn't want us in war, by the way. He knew, I think it was Eisenhower, talked about the military-industrial complex. He knew this. Kennedy knew this and said, no, we don't want to get involved in any more wars. We want to divert our money to something more, something better, space program. They created NASA, yada, yada, yada. What did Lyndon Baines Johnson do? Let's see. He pushed us right into hell. He pushed us into war. He said, we're going to send more troops. I'm old enough to remember when Walter Cronkite came on the news and said they're going to send 20,000 more troops to Vietnam. And I turned around and looked at my mom. I was young. I was like 6. And I looked at my mom and went, why? And my mom's going, I don't know. Then, wait a minute. What was going on? We had Vietnam, but we also had something else behind the scenes happening. Right? 1969, 1970, 71, around in there, we had Watergate. We had Nixon. We had all that. Yes, that was all on the news. But what was happening behind the scenes? There was this little guy, little mouthy, arrogant little turd, who decided that, well, playing with the big boys would be a fun thing to do, so he did. He infiltrated a party, a political party of that time in Iraq. We put him in that party. His name's Saddam Hussein. We put him in that party, and we said, here's what we want you to do. He became the Ba'ath Party leader. He became the leader of Iraq. He thumbed his nose at us. I wonder if did he read history? Did he see what happened to Hitler? And then we negotiate with him for over 40 years. Now, here we are, 2012. Here we are in the midst of how many freaking wars are we involved with? I say wars. I don't want to say that. How about battles or skirmishes or whatever you want to call them? We're elsewhere in the country. You know why? Because we're the bullies in the schoolyard now. We want to occupy that space. Now, I'm sure in your towns you see it too. You see buildings with graffiti all over it, and you know the gang signs and you know all this, right? They're trying to take over that territory. Same with the U.S. military, the military-industrial complex that Eisenhower warned us about. It's here. Hello. We live it. We're occupying all these countries. Saddam Hussein thumbed his nose at us, and yeah, we take him out. Muammar Gaddafi, who was a graduate of a university here in the United States of political science, went back to Libya and went, hey, I can do this. But now we had to negotiate with him. Isn't it funny how now terrorism just went sky high after we killed Saddam Hussein and Muammar Gaddafi? Isn't it funny that drugs and opium sales are just increasing dramatically now that we have the army guarding the poppy fields in Afghanistan? Isn't it crazy? It's because the United States cannot manage their own freaking affairs and cannot understand how not to spend money they don't have. And that probably goes without saying, but... And then we have to borrow money from China, a communist nation. We borrow money from China, and I think we owe them like, I don't know how many trillions of dollars now. And then they give us what? An ultimatum. Financially, that is. They looked at us and went, we're not going to use your dollars as the reserve currency anymore. We're going to deal with Russia. We're going to use the yuan. And we're going to exchange between. Same thing with Japan. Is going to Brazil. Brazil's going to Japan going, we don't want to use the US dollar. It's worthless. So where are we? We're at the brink of a collapse with so many different battles going on in the world that what happens? Eventually, looking back in history, look at the Roman Republic, the Roman Empire. It started out as a republic. You go back, you look at that. What did they do? They took over territory after territory after territory, and they had all this and they had whatever. What happened to them? They collapsed. They collapsed because they didn't have the infrastructure in those areas nor the tax base to support those areas. What's going to happen to the United States of America? What's going to happen? I've never in my life studying history have ever seen, or I've never seen a country get so low that they had to go to a communist country to borrow money and to work out trade. Thank you, Richard Nixon, in 1971. To gain finances to support their own country. I've never seen that before. Okay? But I can say this. Since we know all of this, since we understand the history of how our government was overtaken by the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers through the Federal Reserve Bank, which is a private bank, it has nothing to do with the federal government. Same thing with the Internal Revenue Service, has nothing to do with the federal government. Since the Ponzi schemes on Wall Street and all the fraud going on there, Bernie Madoff and all those folks. Since everything that we have done has been predicated on false pretenses, what makes you think that the military-industrial complex or the Bilderberg Group or many of their minions now running the United States of America are not going to collapse this country to get what they want? Yeah, it just doesn't, we can look back in history and go, wait a minute, hold on. That country did this, we're doing that, they've collapsed, we're on the verge of it. Come on. Then you have, get this. Liberty and Freedom Network on Facebook. Get this. I got to cruise down. I mentioned this the other day when I wasn't on yesterday because of the fact that, the sinus problem got me big time. Then get this. Our wonderful leader, say that sarcastically, decides to sign over 295, possibly over 300 executive orders. And here's one of them, just last week. Another Obama executive order allows seizure of Americans' bank accounts. The latest executive order, there's a link there on Liberty and Freedom Network, emanating from the White House October 9th, now claims the power to freeze all bank accounts and stop all related financial transactions that a sanctioned person may own or try to perform, all in the name of Iran sanctions. Titled, go look this title up, Executive Order from the President regarding authorizing, the implementation of certain sanctions. EO 12957 was issued by Bill Clinton March 15th, 1995. That's one of the things. This is going back in history. Go look that up. EO 12957. Okay? It all relates. The order, the current one that President Obama signed, says that if an individual is declared by the President, the Secretary of State, or Secretary of Treasury to be a quote-unquote sanctioned person, he or she will be unable to obtain access to his accounts, will be unable to process any loans or make them, or move them to any other financial institution inside or outside the United States. In other words, his financial resources will have successfully been completely frozen. The EO expands its authority by making him unable to use any third party such as a partnership, association, trust, joint venture, corporation, subgroup, or other organization that might wish to help him or allow him to obtain access to his funds. You understand what's going on here? Do you understand how this whole process of false flag events from 1913 to now has created such the mess that we have. By the way, we got into Vietnam. I failed to mention this because I didn't remember it. We got into Vietnam as a false flag event happened. CBS News, you can go look this up in the archives. It's there. CBS News of that time heard of bombings on a ship in the Gulf of Tonkin and all this. The ship rolls into San Diego, and the CBS reporters are there. Hey, what happened? We hear this, and everybody on the ships, or the people they talked to, said, that didn't happen. Yeah, so a false flag event got us into Vietnam. Isn't that wonderful? Anyway, I wanted to share all that with you because I knew that if I didn't, I want to give it a background of what's going on. That's here today. We have a system that is collapsing. Why? Because it all started, or was finalized. The deal was finalized in 1913 under President Woodrow Wilson. And we have today what we have today. Why? Because you and I, we the people, allowed it. So we're responsible for the collapse of America that will happen if Obama stays in office, and probably will take a lot longer to happen if Romney's in office. So eventually it's going to happen. Financial analysts like Max Kaiser or other people have said the same thing. It doesn't matter who's the leader of the country. It's going to happen. Okay? Tomorrow on the show, we have the one and only Angel Clark from her show, The Angel Clark Show on radiofreedom.us. We'll have her on for a half hour and get her take on what's happening and her take on the debates. That's Angel Clark from The Angel Clark Show on radiofreedom.us, also on the libertyradionetwork.com. And on the... At the end of this show, I want to say that I'm glad my voice hung out for as long as it did. And I thought I was losing it here, but I wasn't. And if anybody has any natural remedies of getting rid of this sinus infection that I got, or it's actually not as bad as it was yesterday. I wasn't on yesterday because of it. If anybody's got any natural remedies or something to get rid of this crap, I would appreciate it. Go to the website for the views expressed. Go to the right-hand side of the page, you see a book, Many Directions Man. That's my book. I wrote that. It's just my observations and some solutions. I get into some deep issues as well. The left-hand side of the page, you see some links. Down at the bottom of the left-hand side of the page, you see Donate. That keeps the page and the show up and going, up and running. Keeps me here is what it is. Of course, there's a store button over there. You can go to the store, promote your patriotism. Buy some stuff, keeps the website up and the show going. That's what it does. So, got 2.5 minutes left here. So I'm going to tell you, hey, you want to get a hold of me, you can get a hold of me at libertyandfreedomnetwork@usa.com. You got any articles you want me to look at or whatever? Please send them, libertyandfreedomnetwork@usa.com, libertyandfreedomnetwork@usa.com. If you want to email me personally here at the show, that is freeamericaradio@usa.com, freeamericaradio@usa.com. And again, tomorrow, for a half hour, we will have Angel Clark from The Angel Clark Show. You can catch her show 5 to 7 Eastern at radiofreedom.us or at the libertyradionetwork.com. There's just so much stuff. I am so glad that you were here. Those in the chat room, thank you for being here. Please email me, libertyandfreedomnetwork@usa.com, libertyandfreedomnetwork@usa.com. That's for the show. Check out the page. We'll go from there. Hey, have a great Thursday. This is Thursday, is it not? Yes, Thursday. We will see you tomorrow on the Views Expressed, right here on the Liberty and Freedom Network. We broadcast Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. The views expressed on Spreaker.com. If you'd like your own show, go and you want to host your own show, go check that out. Go to Spreaker.com. Scroll on down to plans, check out which one suits you best, and have a show. It's always fun being here. But I want you guys to remember something. We are all one who are fighting against the tyranny in the U.S. But remember this. We, the people, have the power, for we are America.